Okay. A little bit earlier than planned, but we're gonna do some bullpit today. Just feel like it's so good evening, good afternoon, and good morning. How are we all doing? I'm actually going to change some of the audio settings because they're a little bit loud for me. Okay, slightly better. I just felt like playing some bullpit today, to be honest, more than anything else as well. And as we're streaming, we might as well do it. We might as well do it. I mean, there are other games I might play later, depending on how long I'm streaming for. Just because I kind of want to play them. I mean, I've got some day-to-day stuff to do, but... What are you going to do? What are you going to do? So what have we got to build? I know we have more stuff and we unlocked like lots of new things as well. So we've got to do that. So strength, intelligence, and we also have that as well to build. And we have more housing for some new characters. So let's put this stuff down. Let's put this stuff down. And then we can decide on how we're going to trigger all this stuff. Okay, can't do that. Can do that. So... there, and then we have I still got to save up for that as well, and we'll save up the wood for that. I think we're cool. Okay, let's rearrange stuff. Just enough to get the buildings built is the main thing. But yeah, it's been a long week, to be honest. A very long week. And it's hopefully going to be nice just to be able to chill for a bit, you know? I think that's like the main thing. Okay. Now we can harvest and kind of force stuff to happen. And hopefully they build enough of the stuff we can... have some fun with. New building constructed. But yeah, I've got lots of stuff I gotta sort out. D&D worthy, all that jazz, usual stuff. The cohabitants. And you guys haven't, the only ones haven't done the first one, so let's do that. I'm just going to grind away more than anything else, because I feel like later levels are going to be great, but I feel like I'm going to have to do a lot of grinding, so we might as well stream some of it and kind of like push through. And yeah. See if we unlock more stuff and things like that as well. At least that's going to be the plan. And then I'm also thinking about like what time I want to start streaming on the weekend and stuff. More balls. Yeah, let's go more balls. But, they're actually, like, in a good mood as well, to be honest, right? I know I'm miserable. I know I am miserable. But yeah, work's been... no different from normal, really, but... Poison, frost, or wind. Let's hit the poison, I like the poison. It's some passive damage that at least help out. How they launch both the special balls is kind of nice then. But yeah, we've got a lot to do this weekend. We've got plans for the Christmas and stuff, so I've got to sort that out. So each time you kill an enemy, boost you by 5. Each shot you take deals 2 damage. That doesn't seem very good. I'm gonna take that band-aid because I feel like that's gonna be like some fusion stuff. Is that 100% the thing or not? Yeah, might as well. Any form of healing and stuff would be kind of cool. Yeah, I might do a few runs of this and then, I don't know, maybe play something else, I'm not too sure yet. Or we should stick with Full Pit for a little bit. And then on Sunday, I'm probably going to do about like midday-ish for the first one. I'm going to play through some Wild Growth, which would be kind of nice. Extra balls. Just because I would like to play the game, right? And also, as we're playing the game, we'll be doing that on Kick, so I have got to basically link everything to that, and hopefully we can get like that up and running. So that's going to be fun as well. Ah, there we go, healing. I don't want the fusion, though, is with that. I would like not to get that fusion. So we'll have to avoid that. Lightning. When a poison enemy dies, shall spawn a zombie. Actually seems pretty good. These guys still not have like enough damage. Is this like what the problem is? I feel like you just don't have enough DPS. Man, they really don't have enough, do they? I feel like their damage is like really terrible. Stonemaker pierces through boulders when harvesting. Now, increasing the clock timer seems really good. Return to base. And hopefully we can build the rest of the stuff. Do I have enough? I don't think so. So, just double check. No, not enough. Not enough for the housing either. So we'll just harvest away. Come on, there we go. Okay, everything's been built. And we have a new character to play with. This is going to be fun. The Shade. Nice. Oh, we get to play with them straight away. A killer for hire shoots. Will shoot from the back and have a base crit chance. Okay. Okay. So he shoots it from the back of the field, so if we get the backstab bonuses and stuff, and maybe the piercer effects? Is that basic? Oh. Interesting. So catching my balls for this guy is going to be more entertaining, I guess, then. At least trying to. Left or right, increase rate of fire. I guess we'll just increase that. Interesting. I genuinely like... Oh, we can aim, we can aim, we can aim. Man, this is like really weird. Shooting from the back is... Ooh, light spawn. Actually, no, that's going to be pretty good. Like, shooting extra baby balls when you catch special balls, because we're going to be launching them anyway, and if they go through stuff and we catch them, that's going to be, like, worthwhile. So I catch that, we shoot some specials. I guess I got to really focus on, like, making sure I remove enemies from these, otherwise it's going to be a bit of a problem. Don't want that. I guess we'll take the light ball. Don't forget all the money we'll pick up. But yeah. Everything else is going alright, actually. I finished all my extra work, which has been nice, so that's gonna be helpful. But yeah, I do want that, because that's a little kind of acts a piercing ball, which means I can catch it all the time. Which is kind of good, right? I've actually been thinking a lot, and I've been messing around with some stuff as well, like outside of all that. Please don't hit enemies from the front, we don't do that. Balls do increased damage, but decay each time they bounce, don't care about that. It is weird, this shooting from the back mechanic, though. Okay. But we'll get levels up, Now, it's been nice. I am planning on enemies from the front, increase movement speed while you're shooting. No, just take that. That way we get a fusion on the ball that I want. I am kind of looking forward to the new year and everything else. We've got the D&D stuff pretty much set up and ready to go. I'm just doing some finishing touches and rebalancing and stuff like that, and nitpicking, I guess we could say, right? You're past my max. Now let's hit the ghost ball, or not? Two evolutions. Ooh. I might as well see the new one. Flicker gets 1 right damage to every screen on second. Interesting. Doesn't fuse anything. Increase ball launch a little in speed. Might as well. So the ghost ball and the other ball will pierce through everything, meaning when I catch them, we generate other balls as well. Which is kind of nice. And the light ball will just keep dealing damage repeatedly every 70 seconds, so... these do a lot of damage. Actually, fusing the poison and the light ball together would be actually pretty good. Oh, we just take this then. Yeah. And that's like the next best play you can make. It's like that I just deal damage in a line consistently now. But yeah. I am getting those feelings again though, of just like, I don't know, maybe I'm going mad a little bit about certain things, like, you know, stress, worry, those sort of stuff. But I recognize it, which means that, you know, it's not really that big of an issue, because I'm actually really, like, picking up on it already. I guess I tend to get, like, stressed around this time of year anyway. You know, there's just a lot going on and all that. And I think that's normally the bit that always ends up being like a bit of a worry for a lot of people. I could fuse those. We'll upgrade the other stuff first. I'd like a poison ball if I can get it though. And magnets. Okay, we'll grab the boots. Maybe the boots will help out with something else. Second boss. But yeah. Been looking at all the weird stuff as well, and like I still don't understand how anyone really trusts the UK government. Chance lodging of attack, still sometimes 8% more damage after hitting the back of the field, otherwise reduce damage by 20%. Well, I do have some of those that would work with that, but we'll re-roll that. In the back. That's pretty much what my entire build is all about, so extra crit would be kind of nice. Extra crit would be kind of nice. I guess you really do need the piercing effects on this, otherwise you're going to have issues, but... Ah, I got hit. Well, the shade got leveled up, extra damage, all that stuff. It's all cool beans. And we need to rearrange all this stuff, don't we? So let's do that first. Can I build anything first? Wrong one. Building comes first. No, okay. Then rearrange. So you can come out. That is the lumberyard. Go back in. Don't worry about that. That's the stone mill. Go swap that back over. You can go there. So I think that fits in into there. Universe doesn't matter. That's, yeah, House of the Shade. That's just some stat scaling stuff. That's stat scaling. I'll keep those there. A trophy. Yeah. Seems pretty good. You know what? Let's put that there. There we go. Speed up. But yeah. I kind of just want to be chilling at the moment more than anything else. I'm not sure if I should be planting more resources. Ooh, the cohabitants again. I guess we're doing those. You know? I'm kind of just chilling at the moment more than anything else. Actually, we could do the catching stuff here, because I've got like 2 people, so... Yeah, that would be kind of cool. And they have 2 balls to catch, so... We'll be able to do more damage. Floats around, does that. We're taking that then. Let's start doing the cross-section one. I think that's like the best way to play these characters, actually. Is to, like, do it, like, have the balls bounce around more often. Rather than shooting straight forward. I think it's like the same for a lot of stuff. It's always hit jump on the side. At least certain characters, anyway. It seems weird to me. I'm gonna reroll those. Upgrade the Hornman. I'm gonna do more damage. But yeah. I might as well talk about all the D&D stuff I got set up anyway, because I still got that kind of in my mind, and I want to make sure I kind of label it all out, because that at the moment has been, I guess gold. I've got nothing to level up this way. Blinds enemies hit 3 seconds after detecting a 50% chance they miss their attack. I guess I could take that, but I'm going to take the Iron Ball here. I think a slower Iron Ball could be pretty good, actually, and deals more damage, so... As if you something that deals damage. Ooh, a Spike Ball. We'll start off at increasing speed. That actually seems pretty good. We'll definitely help out with the Iron Balls, right? Like that sort of stuff. Actually, so D&D wise, we'll look this up. So I reused a map from one of my old campaigns, which is kind of really cool, and I've used that to great effect actually. And the people that I'm playing, well, was playing that with, they've still got to go through it. The crits deal more damage. The wind? No, let's have a look at the iron. So, if you do get people that are interested in that, I don't mind talking about it, but I might keep that a little bit close to the chest for the meantime. Just because, you know, I would like to brag more than anything else. I've got an ego. I like cool ideas, and they're really interesting. And explode on death. Could take that. I'm gonna reroll. Let me choose the headband. The bouncing around is the cool bit. Dodge. Fireball. Increase area effect. I guess we take poison. Press stack. Press second. 3 stacks for 3 seconds. 5 stacks for 6 seconds. I guess take the poison. Continue. Increase crit at the same column as me from the front. That does cause the good fusion, so we'll do that. Which is more entertaining than what we currently have, so we'll do it. More poison. Baby gems. It's one thing is just trying to get like all the cool stuff so you can kind of like see it all, right? No, we don't want to fuse any of those. Upgrade the one of the things. We upgrade that, so the next one will trigger. But yeah, so I borrowed a map from one of my other kind of like side campaign sort of like mini quest things that I set up. And then I'm getting a few different... We'll reroll that. Every time we heal, we don't really heal. I guess we'll take Bottle's Tornado. And I'm also setting up the mini kind of like quests and stuff, which will be great fun. So some of the party games and stuff that are going to be being used. This actually might be a really good run, actually, looking at this. So I'm kind of happy how that's turning out at the moment, which is kind of nice. And then after that, we've got setting out the characters. I'm kind of happy with the characters I'm going with at the moment, although I'm kind of like slowly building their backstories and stuff. So that's all going to come up. And the poison doesn't do anything, and don't want that, so we'll do this. And upgrade everything else we can. So I've gone for a shrunken barbarian that is just going to be there because it's a party and they've heard humans have great parties. It's just going to be a half-orc. I'm debating on going full orc with that because that could be kind of interesting, you know? And then we're going to have a sort of sly sorcerer who's basically like your classical kind of magician type of character. Which I absolutely love the idea of him. I've got a tiefling bard. Oh yeah, it's going to be human sorcerer because just, you know, I think the smarminess comes off better when they're human. Let's take a bunch of hits, try and get this guy going quickly. There we go. And level that. Do that. I'm gonna have a double fighter couple, I think. Maybe. I'm not too sure on that. Still debating on that one. I wanted it in the original one, and I was like, no, I'm gonna probably like forcing players to pick certain characters, and then I'm like, I don't really want to do that. But I was thinking about it. I thought it might be interesting, right? We're gonna lose this one again. Just don't have enough DPS in this character. We'll get there eventually. Okay. Return to base, collect resources, move on. But yeah, that's gonna be, I kind of just can't wait to kind of like get my teeth stuck into it all. Like, the planning's great and all, but I really just want to like set it all up and then just play. You know? I just want to play. I think the main reason behind it is just that, yeah. It's that kind of like setup where I've set everything up and I just want to like kind of get stuck in with it. And I haven't really got everything set up just yet, but still. Okay. Dark. I'm going to catch a special ball. Magnet. I guess we'll just upgrade the dark ball here. Yeah, I'm kind of just looking forward to the whole evening and stuff. And then we got Christmas before that, which would be kind of nice to spend with the family and stuff. I'm trying to figure out a bunch of gifts ideas for people and like what they might want or that stuff, which is actually I wouldn't say it's a nightmare, but you know, it's a very hard time deciding. Lightning. Actually, that's good AoE, actually. Let's do that. I like the AoE bit on that. Which is going to be quite useful. Man, this character is actually really hard to play. Extra balls? I guess that's pretty good, actually. If it's going to be behind stuff anyway. Like, the more it bounces around, the more balls it can spawn, and maybe we'll do something cool there. I guess we'll use the sideways strap. The sideways strap. But yeah. I don't know, I kind of feel very melancholy today, you know? Just don't feel as hyped as I normally do. It's kind of nice just to be able to chill, right? I think that's the main thing, is just being able to chill. Just your enemies. Actually, we'll take the light bulb. Light bulb being on the screen a lot would be pretty good, actually. Like, passing through enemies isn't really going to make much of a difference, and we should wipe most stuff out anyway. Leave that land on me. That's not fair, guys. Come on. Oh yeah. I will continue to just chill and, you know, do the usual things. I think we'll increase by 20 damage. So no, they're going to hit a wall quite a lot. Laser effects can heal past the max. Magical staff, AoE effects like earthquake, laser, lightning. I assume the light bulb. Okay, we need to restrain a little bit just to try and deal with that. What else we got? Actually, heal. We don't heal. We increase the AoE. 2 fusions available. Ooh, light and lightning. Let's do it. It's a new orb. I have to do this every time we do a ball. Flash. Deal damage on screen 2 to 5 after hitting an enemy and blind them for 2 seconds. Okay. So lots of AoE damage, basically. It's kind of good, though. It is kind of good. Just need to kind of increase that damage, really, and then maybe give, like, poison or something. That'd be pretty cool. But yeah, I've been enjoying, actually, like, playing some old-fashioned games, to be honest, recently. I picked up playing a bit of Dawnkeeper in my free time. I might play a bit more of that. I may play that on either this stream or a different stream a little bit and go through some of the challenges I got to do. Because I like the game, it's good fun. And because I mentioned it as well, there's like a sort of relation to this game as well, and sort of like some mechanics and things. I thought I might end up bringing up Loop Hero, because I kind of like the idea. Should be Babel chance when you put a gem. Now, we can increase crits, but I would like to get the increased crits from hitting people from behind first. Yeah. Having a very hard time dealing with a lot of enemies. So yeah. This has been interesting. That guy's gonna hit me anyway, so yeah. I'm gonna reroll that. And lightning. Increase the flash. Do that on that side. Yeah, like the moment that you can't like get certain things, I think you need like the phase, maybe a little bit on this. Yeah, it's gonna take a lot of damage on those fights and stuff like that as well, so I have to figure all that out. New characters, way to grind. Oh, we got it again. Actually, no, do I have enough? Don't think so. Probably should build more of the gathering stuff, I think. Oh, we do have enough for another character, so let's try that. Rearrange. Take out the gunsmith, right? And put it there. Harvest. Oh, okay, so it's automatic harvesting of those. I don't need to use that. Okay, I know what I can do then. Now we got a new character, so let's see what we can do with them. The Empty Nester. Placing no bay balls, each shot shoots multiple instances of one equipped special ball. Let's go to the boneyard. Just want to double check. Yeah, we're doing alright, that's fine. Add the ghost ball. There's no baby balls whatsoever, but we get ghost balls straight off the bat. How would I feel about that? Well, that's actually a pretty good fusion straight off the bat. Are we alternating between the special balls now? Am I generally going to lose this straight away before we can do anything else? That's gonna be funny. Don't care. Guess we'll upgrade this. Man, I didn't realize how much of your damage comes from the baby balls, to be honest. And how little of it does also come from them as well. I guess we can take the darkness one. Swing south 3 doesn't cooldown shot again. The cooldown seems really terrible with that. Same with that. Let's reroll. I'll take the explosion on death actually, that seems pretty good. There's gonna be extra damage for a lot of stuff. At least then we can kind of like deal with the things and as we're playing. Laser vertical. freeze. Let's upgrade the pressure valve then. Evolution. That's to them 30% chance of seeing life. I think that's a good upgrade. Hello, Frothy. How are you? Yeah, the explosion on death, I kind of, it's one that I kind of didn't realize how good it was until I picked it up and saw the effects. So, I'm doing alright. I'm feeling a bit melancholy today, like I don't feel like I'm all hyped up, which is not a bad thing. Just like, I feel like I need that time to kind of like turn off and just relax a little bit. But I'm doing alright, really. I think I've just been too serious for too long. But I need to go a little bit crazy or something, you know. Yeah, to be honest, I think like a, you know, catching up with some friends or having a few drinks or something would be good. So, I might try and do that. Or just wait until Christmas and have a good party with the family. Yeah, let loose is the, is the idea. But other than that, I'm kind of like also waiting for like the New Year's and stuff, because the whole D&D stuff is kind of pulling itself together as well. I was ripping an old map of mine, well not an old map, but the map design from one of my other mini kind of like campaigns, because I thought it was a good idea as it would work quite well for the setting, and I've just expanded on it a little bit. So I've drawn that up, which has been kind of nice. I think it's just more the fact that I enjoy the design process and then watching people's reactions. Because I'm still playing one of them at the moment with some friends whenever we can manage to organize ourselves back together. And I would say now the design for it, of like the whole campaign, or that like side campaign, came from an interesting question that was raised as a short on YouTube that I kind of caught the wind of. And the question was, if you had a mimic that was able to transform into a corpse of an ally, and then you try to revive them, what would happen? And I was like, well, like, if the person's willing, technically it's an exact replica. Yeah. So, I kind of went like, okay, so let's say that it actually works. You basically then got a person, or their soul, that is trapped within the body of a mimic that is pretending to be them. So it still does the mimic things of trying to blend into society, into society and everything else. And I kind of like took that idea and ran away with it. So essentially I built up this small little kind of like village that was protected by a paladin. And eventually, like, she falls in love with the mayor of the town. They end up, obviously, getting married and everything else. And then on one of the invasions that happens from the monsters, she gets killed. And obviously, they revive her, not realizing that her body was the mimic that was picked up in the battle. So then you have her as a mimic, and what you find out is, like, the party hears about that people are going missing. And obviously there's a quest out for it. So that's how the party kind of get introduced to it all and go in there. And it's really interesting because I've designed it in a way that essentially have multiple avenues to try and solve everything. But depending on if they get there early, if they... Yeah, it was such a unique idea, and I thought, why not play into that? So, and the cool thing is because I made her a paladin, it also works really well with the mimic. So I either can have her, like, depending on how the story goes, it's the idea of her gaining her redemption, depending on how the party interacts with the people and stuff like that, and she kind of realizes who she is, like a Jekyll and Hyde situation, that comes to terms with it. And then basically like they win, no fight, and she gets to rest in peace. Or they get like one of the really bad endings is, have you ever played the old classic Metroid Fusion? Because if you played that and you get the boss fight, or the second boss fight to the end of that with the SAX. Yeah. Think of a boss fight exactly like that, but with all the Paladin Oathbreaker abilities. Because that's what ends up happening, is she breaks her oath, it becomes an Oathbreaker, and is then just like a massive like tank mimic boss fight. Absolute madness. I just thought like, you know what, that is actually a really good way to go with it. So that's what I decided in the end. And like then the cool thing about it is which will, oh, it's not even over yet. So my main group is going through this at the moment, and there's a bit of a kicker. So the real cool thing about it is if they get the bad ending, okay, her soul doesn't rest in peace, and her main body is still out there, and I might give it to the big bad guy at the end of the story that is then gonna resurrect her. Full Oathbreaker kind of paladin on the bad side. Which could be a really cool kind of like, I don't know, I guess like another mini-boss or another boss to face as well later in the campaign and stuff, where she becomes corrupt and becomes more evil. Because that's like the other thing, is like, technically, yeah, the mimic is the corpse and the corpse still exists, so she can be revived again if they go down the bad route. Yeah, and it's one of the things I like making character consequences for a bunch of really awkward decisions and stuff. Because it was just something I ended up kind of thinking about. It's like, okay, I like players having choice, and I'll normally give them like about like 4 different endings or so. Normally like sort of like a good bad one, a good one, a bad good one, and a bad one, essentially. So it's like a bad ending but with good outcomes, or a good ending with bad outcomes, but like there's kind of overall thing, it was a positive, not a negative. Another one that I messed around with is I created a parasitic tree that an entire village was living off to sustain itself. And essentially it is the tree's infected every living person within the town. And obviously the adventurers come in, the party comes in, they find out what's going on. The giveaway is everyone is wearing hats, which was quite a unique thing, and of course, why is everyone wearing a hat? And then when you pull it off, they've got like a plant stuck to the top of their head, which then finds out, and then it's like, if they've eaten the food in there, they get infected. Does the tree actually take control of them? No one knows, and then they have to make a decision on whether they destroy the tree, which destroys the food source, or if they've done stuff wrong, the tree becomes evil, and then it tries to take over other areas, and this is one of the things that causes zombie invasion later on in one of the other campaigns I did, which was great fun. Yeah, nothing wrong with them leaving a tree alive that eventually created a zombie horde for them to fight. And this is what I mean, like, I create these kind of like mini sub-camp, like little sub areas and dungeons or puzzles to solve, and then people just, yeah, they end up becoming a little bit more bigger than maybe what I wanted to originally, but then like I'm not going to stop myself from doing it because I like player choice too much, although I will try to probably force them a little bit into particular areas, you know. There's only so much I can turn around and take of them just wandering halfway through a different campaign. But it is one of the things where if they start something off and they leave it, I always set timers. So like how many long rests they go through, depending on like how that story progresses, and like if there's repercussions for not paying attention to it later. Because one of the things that I picked up on when speaking with other people that like playing D&D and stuff was the fact that they felt like the worlds that people design in some cases just never really progressed anymore unless the players did stuff. Yeah, so I kind of like had to write out giant lists of things that would be like, okay, so this is going to change this is going to change that, that's going to affect this, and suddenly I've got an entire booklet of decision processes I've made of being like, why have I gone this far again? I will say, I do have a favourite character that I designed, which I absolutely love to bits. And at this point, yeah, well, the character I designed is a humanoid rat man, and he's called Tibbins, and he wears a top hat and has a waistcoat vest on. And pretty much he's like I would call him like the odd job nice guy that goes around but has no moral values. Yeah, Tibbins. He's one of my favourite characters ever, just because of the fact that he just goes around and he helps people regardless of the circumstances, like anyone. From people doing evil things, from people doing good things, to sitting at a bar and helping people serve drinks. It's hilarious. And like, he's helped out certain parties and everywhere, and everyone meets him. It's just like, you know, oh look, it's Tibbins. Hi Tibbins, how are you? It's like, oh, I'm doing alright guys, how are you all doing? Do you need a favour? And you find out he's been helping the local witch or something. You're like, why Tibbins, why? It's like, I just wanted to help out. But the problem is now he's become some sort of like, yeah, pretty much, but at this point now he's kind of progressed more than that. So he's pretty much like an eldritch god at this point, where he will always appear to help people in need. But at the same time, he kind of like exacts a cost of it, so like they owe him a favor. But he's not evil about it. It's just more the fact that, yeah, like, he's always there, and you make a trade with him to accomplish stuff, and yeah, depending on what ends up happening, it's just because, like, so many people owed him favors, he suddenly became the power of a god. Which just makes it more funny, so it's like someone will come over there and think like, oh, I need money, and of course Tibbins will have money and he'll come and help people out, and then someone else will wish to do something else, and then he appears. It's like a genie that grants wishes. I just think it's just so funny. So it's one of the things that I'm also going to introduce him into the campaign for the New Year's one. And just have him there. It was just one of the things, like, he was going to be like a sort of a throwaway character, kind of like, I think the main inspiration for him originally was the house elf Dobby from Harry Potter. I wanted like a sort of servant character that was kind of helping people with their problems and going through stuff and things like that as well. At which point the party became kind of like really attached to him, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess I've got to kind of like have him reappear later at some point, and ever since then, like, he's just been recurring. But yeah, so I'm gonna introduce him into the New Year's one and see how that goes down, and like, he can give helpful hints and tips to the party is going to be the main way to use him. Essentially, he becomes like a... I know, it's one of the things, like, I like giving characters a lot of emphasis behind the scenes and stuff they do. So I'm slowly creating the characters up and their backstories for the player characters for the D&D night. And I'm debating on either a half-orc barbarian or a full-orc barbarian, which is just going to be at the party and everything else, like, there just to drink and challenge people to fights, which is just going to be sort of like their whole personality and stuff. Like, you know, he heard that humans were good at drinking and decided he wanted to drink them under the table. And then have a bard who's there to kind of like essentially perform and do all the performances and stuff. And then I was thinking of doing a Arctivist, was it Arctivist, yeah, and having them like do the fireworks and stuff, but I think that might be a little bit complicated. I've not played with one before, so I'm not too sure how that would go down for some new players if they get it. And then the other way to want to do it, depending on who gets what character, was do 2 fighters that are kind of lovers as well, which would be interesting for a New Year's thing. But still messing around with some of them. I was going to have a very arrogant human sorcerer, which would be hilarious, that just thought he was like God's gift to the world, which for a sorcerer is pretty much the norm. I get magical powers with no training wherever I want to go. Yeah, I've not got any sorcerer hate whatsoever. And then the classical thief robe was just there to try and steal everyone's pockets. But I gotta add them out a bit more, flesh them out, give them like proper designs, motivations, and it's something that I picked out like ages ago when designing a lot of the characters and stuff, which was like I will admit, like being at school, going to uni and stuff, my normal English writing capability is absolutely terrible. I even pretty much technically got held back a year for it, but it wasn't like anything serious. It was more just like, you got to catch up, so learn this quickly. Eventually, like I caught up and it was fine after like taking extra lessons and stuff. But what I ended up learning was that if you wanted to create good characters, is take like a very core personality trait that you have, whether that's like overexcitedness, if it's like really happiness, a form of love, of obsession, fear, stuff like that, and then give the character a motivation around that emotion. So you set something up that basically drives them to do things, essentially. So if you give them the emotion of fear, it's like they're scared of something, but what they're scared of, what's going to drive them to do the things they do? Is it family obligations? Is it just genuinely scared to do certain things? Is it the fear of death? Is it all sorts of other stuff? Like, the more complex you can make it, the more you can add to it, and then that kind of then allows you to pinpoint where the character development will go. You know, it's, they no longer get beholden to that one emotion, and that drive becomes something you overcome later, which makes them kind of just feel more human in general. It's kind of like how Tibbins first came into being, was the fact that I just wanted someone to help him out, like, you know, serving his master as such, but later on he becomes free, and then, yeah, and it just becomes like his own thing at that point, and now I can't get rid of him. But it was just something that I think that is just like a good basis of it, and I've done like lots of different character designs like that, where I think, okay, so what do I want them to do? What's going to be their main motivation? What's the personality trait that I'm going to essentially rip from myself to give them? Is that point of like borderline arrogance? Is it something simple as just like sort of borderline obsession? Is it more the fact that that person cannot focus on anything whatsoever and are very erratic in general? And then why are they like that? How do you develop that person? What was the stuff behind them that caused them to be like that? And how do they overcome it? What's the change? How do they adapt? What is going to make them better in the long run? So I messed around with that idea like ages ago with like different novel ideas and stuff, and was like, okay, then how do you make people more interesting, essentially? You know, it's just getting that point where it's like, if I can get one person to empathize with a character and understand the motivations, then that's where I've kind of succeeded. And it sounds dumb when I kind of like break it down in that smaller part, but what's more hilarious is the fact that I feel like modern day writing, within particular TV series and stuff like that, is just, it's non-existent. Like, you don't empathize with any of the characters or anything else as well, and you're like, oh, why do I not empathize with them? And it's because their decisions don't make sense. It's like they build up a particular way for the character to react and interact, and then they do the complete opposite of the expectation. Yeah. And the problem is that just leaves you as a person watching that or reading that going, hang on a minute, didn't they hate doing this? You know, why the sudden change? It's like kind of that point of like, my favourite kind of like way to kind of like get myself in that mindset is take an existing character and have them have like a moral value to them. Something that they never do. So a good example I always put to a lot of people, even when we talk about it, is Batman is no kill rule, right? And loads of writers have done it before, is how do you get Batman to start killing people, essentially? Like what makes him break his oath, essentially? And like, where do you draw the line on that? And then how do you test the character? How do you make them stay to the same convictions? What drives them to the point of where they almost might change their perception of their own values? And like, if you can write it in a way that still makes the character make sense, while also breaking them and then try and build them back up, that's what makes it interesting. You know, there's nothing worse than just having a character that goes, oh yeah, I'm going to do this because of this reason, and then you're like, oh, okay. And also the other thing is, like, the constant explanations. You know, like, I don't need to hear a character's inner monologue to understand their decision-making. And unfortunately, my brain does this all the time. Like, the thought process starts off as something small, and then becomes like a spider web of just like, okay, all this has got to make sense. And if it doesn't make sense, I feel like something is wrong. And then that's when my point goes like, oh, I don't like this, I don't like this, it doesn't feel right, it doesn't sound right, it doesn't look right. And at that point I have to fix it. It's a blessing and a curse. But I just kind of like, you know, I like a whole picture, right? I feel like if you don't... It's almost if you're painting a canvas and then you're missing something. Yeah. It's what drives me. I think a lot of friends will know me from having like a borderline obsession about something for like 3 months, at which point I'll become almost like a semi-expert in it, and then I'll drop it like a sack of potatoes like the moment I get to a certain point that I'm happy I've accomplished something. It's almost like my brain has a goal, and then once the goal's been completed, I'm done. Which is both a good thing and a bad thing. Because I always say it, like, I am literally like a jack of all trades when it comes to a lot of things. Like, job-wise, I've done way too many things in my life already. And even when I say it, like, I look back and go like, yeah, but I'm not really that old to say that I've done, like, that many things. I think my CV is extended beyond, like, done stuff from, like, call centers, supermarkets, accountancy, doorman work as well, being a bouncer and stuff, waiting tables. A lot of it in the service industry, but... yeah, let's do that. I say it's what you normally do just to get by, isn't it? And between that, I like being active or doing something consistently. Again, one of the reasons why I kind of started just making videos and stuff like that was the fact that I needed something to kind of keep myself busy while I was at home, but also give me an excuse to play games. The wear of many hats is always good. I always link everything back to like, oh, I learned this from this job, that from that job, and I picked up so many different things. I think I work as a data analyst at the moment, but before that I was a car salesman. No, that's a changing career as well. So the thing is, though, like a lot of people look at it like, oh yeah, you know, like, can you commit to one thing? And I look at it like, actually, I probably got more experience and more skill set than most of the people in different areas because I've had to diversify my work. And I've also done things that I probably would say that weren't stuff that generally I would think I was good at, but I've had to adapt. Yeah, a lot of it is just like trying stuff out as well. Like, you never know if you're going to enjoy something unless you actually put the hat on as such. And I think that's like the biggest thing. I think the main worry was at one point for me was the fact that I felt like I wasn't progressing in particular areas. Like, and I think a lot of people tend to feel like this as well, is, okay, so you start a job, you get a lot of promises made to you, and you're like, oh, yeah, you know, so you're going to give me this, they're going to give me progression, they're going to do all this stuff, and then you get to a certain point and you're looking at it and like, a year later, and nothing's changed. You're still doing the same thing with no differences. And you're like, why is that? And it's because like companies just don't really progress stuff internally anymore. Which is a shame, because a lot of places end up losing a lot of the good people. Like, I've seen entire companies get like really good staff members, and because the fact that they wouldn't train them, they end up losing them. And then they wonder why that, like, the people that were, say, doing 3/4 of the work for everyone else, they wonder why they're falling behind, when all they did was lose one person. I think I might have like said this in like a bunch of other videos as well, is a lot of companies have had a skill gap for a while. And I'm not sure really how to explain it really, but essentially what they, like a lot of companies did ages ago, is they would like have someone in the job and they probably would do the job until the day they died. And in the modern day, we've got, say it's criminal. Well thought out would be something that I probably might disagree with. My brain, I would say, is erratic. And to be honest, I think a lot of it is the fact that I probably just do what I want to do, more or less. You know? And most people are all into the hype and the sort of like immediate drama and stuff. It's like instant gratification. I mean, eventually... Yeah, a whole lot of thoughts. My brain doesn't stop. It's an absolute nightmare. I used to joke about it with friends and stuff, that, like, by the time that... I think... By the time that, like, some people have finished a single conversation, I've already had, like, 3 others in my brain. And then... I think the curse of it is I'm like a worse off Batman. I try and plan for every eventuality, even if it's, like, highly unlikely. Much more work to put on play things than I actually want to play. I mean, seriously, I kind of completely agree with that. I think sometimes it's more the fact that you got to do stuff for yourself and think, okay, and then when you look back at it later, like, why am I doing this thing? Is it because of the fact that it makes me happy, or am I trying to make other people happy? You know? Like, trends and stuff, they'll come and go all the time. Like, I think at one point, like, the amount of times clothing trends have come back into season, out of season is hilarious. But you just gonna like, I think the words were is you're gonna kind of work on yourself, and this is something that I kind of learned the hard way. And to be honest, I didn't really learn the lesson until like really later, because of just like, you know, processing trauma in some cases isn't a great thing. So I had an ex that kind of cheated on me around sort of this time of year. But I kind of find out very quickly that it happened. And the issue is I didn't realize that I was being told... Basically, I was being told things, essentially, that I wanted to hear by them. Which meant the fact that the relationship wasn't in the way that I thought it was. And until I could process that, I couldn't quite figure anything out, which meant that I had a hard time processing it. Once I understood, it was fine, but the problem is essentially I was trying to build something that wasn't the thing that we were both agreeing on. Whether that's my fault or not is irrelevant, but like them cheating and stuff, but at the end of the day it's the fact that we wanted two different things and I just didn't see it. Yeah. And it's one of those things where it's like, you gotta kind of come to terms with it yourself. You can't kind of just like, oh yeah, you know, they were a B or an A, you know. It's just more like, oh, okay, so yeah, they were an A and a B, but at the same time, like, I should have been smarter, or I should have saw the signs. It was tough for a while, like, and it's one of the things that I tell a lot of people now, which means that even as a single bloke, I give really good relationship advice to my friends, because I will tell them basically point blank is, you need to grow up. You know? I think some of my friends and stuff, a lot of people's troubles is poor communication, or they don't communicate, or when they do communicate, they get very emotional about it because, you know, communicating with your partner is an emotional thing. So I think the one thing I suggest... The thing I suggested to them was the fact that, like, if people end up struggling to communicate, a great way to be able to do it is to write it down. And I said this to a lot of people, is if you write down exactly how you feel and what you want, one, it gives you time to think about it before you write it, and two, you get the point of, once you've written it down, you've written it down. So a lot of people tend to get really frustrated with the idea of once you say things, you can't take them back. And by having to write it in like a little black book that you put next to the front door, it forces them to think about that action before they actually do it. And the cool thing about it is like, once you get past that overall hurdle of like communicating better and stuff like that, that little black book becomes something more of like a more positive way to communicate later down the line. It can become more flirtatious, it can become sort of like all that hidden secret between the two of you as a couple and stuff, which kind of then makes it a bit more than just like, oh, this is a thing we use to get over our problems. It was more of a thing that allows you to develop a more deeper relationship. It's worked out for a few of my friends and stuff, and they've still got that black book near their front door now. And they still use it from reminding people to do certain things or certain tasks. Yeah, like, so I think, like, most people's problem is the fact that we always end up making mistakes because we rush it and we don't tend to think about it. And other times then you make mistakes because you thought about it too much. So, you know, having something that kind of keeps a record of everything is actually kind of a really good idea, because it means that you can look back at it and go, oh, I was being an idiot, or, you know, it's being able to look at your faults, you see yourself in a mirror, or even see an entire relationship in a mirror. You know, nobody's perfect, but the thing is like, you like someone not just in spite of their imperfections, but also because of them. You know? And when those imperfections tend to start getting annoying with you, were you really in love with them or not is the question, and that's what you got to kind of come to realise. It's never a nice thing to discuss, but I think sometimes you're gonna like force that conversation, but you can't have it if you're always irate or they're always upset or vice versa. You've got to have some steady ground, and you know, writing it down becomes a point of which if you gave that to someone else, what would they say? But yeah, I learned a lot of lessons the hard way because I was an idiot that didn't listen to anyone else, and I'm also bad at taking my own advice, so learn from experience. And I'll also say it for any parents out there as well. Your kids will do whatever they want to do, so in most cases, let them learn the lesson the hard way, but be there to pick them up when they do, right? If they can do something really stupid, stop them, but yeah. My god, did I make so many mistakes through my life growing up. You know, it's that point where it's like, don't put your hand in the fire, and like, yeah, but I need to know if it's hot or not. There's so many things like that, and you know, you want to just take sometimes like some stuff just simply as simple as possible. Don't want to overcomplicate it. Don't want to have to worry about it. Like I still do it now, where I have like stuff that I'm thinking about, or whatever. I will set a pro and con list, and then write out the stuff that I can control versus the stuff I can't control. I think that's probably the best advice I can always give people. If you've got so many things you feel overwhelmed, is break the problems down, and then break them down into stuff that you can do stuff about immediately, and stuff that you can't, and then figure out on how to solve each of those individually. But I think that's just more general life advice. I'm gonna pick that up as well, actually. Yeah. Other than that, though, like, I always think it's always a good thing to have a hobby as well, which is why I do stuff like this. You know, a point to keep you centered and just do things as well. I mean, there are a few people that I think were originally just, like, subscribed to my channel, I don't know if they still are or not, that I know ended up doing a lot of stuff themselves later down the line, and like starting their own channels, started streaming and stuff like that, because at the end of the day, in some cases, you just need that push to get you going and just doing stuff. You know? It's sort of that drive of like, you know, do you want to do it? Why do you want to do it? And why aren't you doing it? And if you can answer all those questions, then you can kind of solve it yourself real quick. Huh. But yeah. Mind you, though, I have been following a lot of the random stuff with the UK politics at the moment, and I'm looking at that being like, man, yeah. I've been following it and being like, I don't really understand what people's, what every country's doing it, right, is this online safety stuff. Like, I will never put my tinfoil hat on, because I always like to try and find the logical reason behind stuff, because there's always someone that's causing something or doing something that, you know, why it's happening. But why is every country going after, like, online IDs and everything else as well? Like, honestly, what is up with that? Like, it first off, like, Australia started doing it, then the UK's doing it, even some states in America are trying to now force that through, and I'm just looking at it being like, hang on a minute. And then and what's hilarious is they're all using the strongman argument for it as well, which is just even weirder to me, really. Well, my more crazy thing about it is like you try and apply their logic to the situation, and when you're looking at the logic, you're thinking, okay, so I understand you want to protect children and not let them access, say, certain websites or stuff like that, which I kind of get. And you also want to make sure that they don't see any sort of content that could be sort of dangerous, misleading, or things like that. So why is it that I need to now to play my Xbox Online and use the mic settings and everything else as well going forward? Why do I need to submit my ID for that? Because that's not them accessing dirty sites as such. Right? I'm completely baffled. And then between that, it's like every government wants to take the kids away from the parents, is the logic behind it. You know? I think my favourite one was the fact that so an interesting thing is the UK doesn't have very good online security and tech knowledge when it comes to other countries. Like when you compare them to. Like if you're looking at like tech and technology, probably some of the bigger ones are like Japan, America, New Zealand, surprisingly, is actually pretty good and up there as well. But the UK really isn't, and yet we want to try and put everything around this whole tech stuff, but we're going to rely on external places to hold all of our privatized information, that essentially means that I could have everything taken away from me without too much access issues, right? And we already had it, because they put a bunch of veterans' data onto an online portal, and that got hacked very quickly. And I think like government access stuff is being hacked like 4 times a day or something, or 4 times a week. I think the reported information that was let out to the public was. So that was crazy. It still is, to be honest, pretty still ongoing, but I keep looking at it and I keep trying to figure out like what's the end game here. You know? But, you know, if it gets pretty bad, I'll emigrate somewhere else. Don't know where, though. Everywhere seems to be terrible. The first world problems, right? The thing is like, my worry is, like, as much as you said, like, it seems nefarious, like, it seems it, but I also feel like it's more just incompetence. Almost died from that. You know? No, I mean, I've heard some of the stuff in the US and, like, certain states and stuff, and sort of, like, their intermediary control versus, like, your own freedom of speech. And to be honest, you've got actual proper legislation in place to protect that, when us in the UK, we don't really have that, which is the more scary thing. Like, you know, there's nothing much that we can do once our government's in power. Like, once they're in there unless they want to kick themselves out or get the option. Wood. So yeah, it's like so your constitution protects you quite well against certain things. It's kind of sort of like how you sort of your states and stuff try and get around that legislation. That's always the worry. And then you notice that people will say and do certain things that kind of... Yeah, I've noticed that, and I've noticed that I should be doing that as well. It has been a thing. Let's do that now, shall we? And actually, like, build it properly. So I've just been kind of going through and being like, you know what? Let's do some rearranging and building. Oh, don't worry, don't worry. I will completely go off topic at some point. Don't worry about it. So, harvest from James tiles every 9 minutes. So we want to put these guys here if we can. And help out with the wheat production. Well, I kind of just follow through with my thought processes like, oh, so those houses need to be acquired by the experience, so let's put them all by the experience thing and try and cram them all in, and then I've got this wheat field, like, these should be next to the wheat field stuff, and then I need to go... And then I was like, okay, I need to, like, get, like, a small area where I can keep farming resources quickly, but... Yeah, I kind of need to... No, that's not the wheat, that's lumberyard. Wheat field. So, yeah, I had that feeling like resources get tighter and tighter later on. It was always a worry. And I was like, how bad will it eventually get? And that can go at the back here for now until we worry about other stuff. Then stones. What are you? Ooh, leadership. But yeah. Well, the thing is, like, I tend to, like, avoid politics to a certain degree, and like most people, I would say, like, particular things don't really, it's not the fact that I don't worry about them, but I think it's more the fact that, like, even growing up, like, I was never really taught how politics works. I don't think anyone is. And it's a scary thing. And I think, like, a lot of people should be, like, told more about it. But, yeah. Okay, let's build some of this stuff. Build 2 more there. 2 more there. Some more rocks. And then we'll worry about how to set all this stuff up. Now, I want to kind of get this stuff in an enclosed space as well. Let's move this stuff over here. We're going to figure out the puzzle on the map. Okay. Let's go there, then bring that up there. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna set it up and then hopefully we'll, it won't be an issue for me to try and figure out later. So notice some of the stuff is gated on time rather than it being gated on anything else. So I think that might be just like, I needed to do it, and I've probably been putting it off for a while, which is probably infuriating some of the people that do watch this stuff. You know? It's one of the things I always find it weird when people say, it's like, oh, I don't want to be a backseat gamer. I'm like, nah, go for it. Tell me if I'm being stupid about stuff. Like, I won't know if you don't tell me. And then people look at me like I'm some sort of madman, being like, "But you want me to backseat game?" I'm like, yeah, sounds like a brilliant idea. Okay. Ooh. Gotta love crashes. Okay. Decide whenever a character dies. Okay, so I think that covers everything, and that's all boxed in. I can actually build some more, so let's do that. I think one more wheat farm, one more wood. Actually, I should need to move stuff over. my plan has already been thwarted because there's extra space there. And that means you can be span there. Cool. No, not harvest. Build. Yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to some games from next year actually coming out. There's a few good ones on my list and stuff that I kind of am looking forward to. Like, I'm looking for, like, Slay the Spire 2 when that comes out. I think it's in March that is, update is coming out for that, when that comes out, so... Yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to a lot of this, like, stuff like that. Oh, I should have flattened those on the back out. Oh well. Cool, more resources, lots of stone. I will rearrange those, otherwise I will forget. There we go. And that covers all of those. Any more character buildings? I think we've got all those sorted out as well. I know as well, and it's like a lot of sequels and stuff. Like, ever since we've had like Silksong and stuff like just pop out of nowhere, I like pretty much a lot of games, despite what people said of like, oh no, it's just going to take over everything. Like, we've got so many good games coming out, and also a lot of unique games as well, which is the interesting thing, right? Like, and then what's nice is a lot, like, all of them are coming from like indie devs that actually end up, that kind of seem interesting. Like I've always said I've always preferred games to have like an interesting mechanic. And I am kind of looking forward to them all. But we shall see. So I think there is one game that is on my list that is coming out. Sort of a Metroidvania. I think it's is it Mao? I think that's coming out next month, which I'm kind of interested in. You know, I do like my Metroidvanias. I can't get away from them. Although I haven't heard very good things about the Metroid Prime 4, which has kind of put me off from buying it, unfortunately. And creatures from hitting when he's blinded, and damage. So I think my first issue is so I mean I use the Metroid Prime 4 example because it's the most recent and kind of explains it. So the game itself, right? The whole game's design and like what Metroid is like I've been a fan for like since I was like a kid anyway, the whole series in general. And the main feeling that you get from those games is this point of like isolation, right? Like that is genuinely one of the biggest themes of the game, is like you are on your own and you've got to survive whatever situation you are put in. Metroid Prime 3 kind of broke that a little bit, but it still kind of went back to it, like after you got out of the tutorial phase. And it did introduce some of the cool mechanics and stuff as well, like nothing deny that. The issue I have with it is, like, I've seen a lot of stuff where they've, like, introduced characters, and although I think the guy character that a lot of people are moaning about, because you have to go back to him for, like, upgrade-wise, which that's an entire issue in itself, because, you know, people like to do dumb stuff. There's a scene in the game where I think you and a commanding officer go and meet up with another soldier that's obviously within the location that you're in. And the moment she sees Samus, she instantly fangirls over her. And I'm like, so we got a highly trained soldier in an intergalactic force that just suddenly has no self-control and starts fangirling over Samus because she's a bounty hunter that she's a big fan of, you know? And I was just like, something doesn't add up. Yeah, it was a big oof moment. It's just like, and remember what I said earlier, like, you know, a character's traits have got to kind of, and personality kind of got to match, like, a lot of stuff, and when you have a conflict, it becomes an issue, and you see it straight away. And it's exactly that. Like, there's an instant conflict with her job, her training she should have received, and then her reaction to seeing Samus around. And I was just like, I wouldn't have minded it if it was like, you know, does the whole salute thing, proper kind of like, you know, soldier thing, and then goes like on the side and go, you know, kind of says, I'm a big fan, Samus. You know, has that little moment of fangirling, that little moment of breaking the armor, right? So you see the armor, you see the forefront of their military training, and then it just cracks a little bit. Completely understand that, right? You just like meeting your heroes type thing. But it was just like, no, it's like instant kind of like full-on fangirl moment, which when someone said to me afterwards, like the studio, yeah, it is just that thing of just like, you are isolated by yourself and you have to deal with everything trying to kill you. I will say, with the way that sort of like the modern gaming goes, I don't think there's an issue with having other characters that interact with Samus. A good example of that is playing Metroid Fusion, because that was a risk, having the AI interact with you that is basically a copy of what's his face in that, and that works really well because you're still isolated and you only have moments of where you have communication and you're given objectives to follow. And it works really well. It was something that people weren't happy with to begin with, but you still feel the same level of isolation from that game. And I think if you did something like that, where it's like, okay, you have an objective and you go and complete the objective, then you get given a new mission to interact that's very sort of military based, do this, do that kind of thing. And what's cool about it is like Samus doesn't talk through the whole thing, because obviously she can, or, you know, silent protagonist energy, you know, gotta stand there and aura farm no matter what you do. And I think that's like that in itself is absolutely fine. I don't think there's any particular issue like doing something like that overall. I think it's just, it becomes a little bit too much when like the interactions that the characters have with the main character overshadow the main character themselves. I think that's where it becomes a bit more of an issue. You know, it's something that the scene isn't about Samus standing there and having an interaction, it becomes about someone else that isn't as charismatic being the loudest person in the room. Right? And I think Metroid Prime 3 does something very similar in a way, where you meet the commander and the other hunters, which if you play the Metroid Prime Hunter games, you kind of recognize them from that. You've played that game. And like they kind of talk a lot and stuff, and you're a little bit worried, but they're only kind of used to set up bosses for later, and also kind of give you sort of stakes in the game as such, which is kind of a bit more interesting. But even then, like, that was one of the bit that people complained about, which turned a lot of people off from it. So I think it's hit and miss. I think it can be done well, but I don't think that anyone in the industry has the capability to not muck it up in some way, shape, or form. That would be that honestly is my honest opinion. Like, I think they can do it well, and I think they could do it justice. It's just I don't think anyone's really got the capability to sit there and tell someone not to muck it up, essentially. Like, it is just like ridiculous. Like, you could have like really heartfelt moments, and in some cases I think you could humanize Samus quite easily. It's just why are you doing it and why do you want to do it, right? Because, like, one of the biggest things about Samus is, one, that she is silent, and, like, she's dealt with a lot of stuff anyway. Yeah, the other thing as well is, like, I will probably say, I think the sort of multiple planets and stuff is sort of like what ends up, like, they're going further and further behind, like, in front of and wanting to do a lot more things. And then with Metroid Prime 4, you don't get the multiple planets, so you're back to that feeling of, like, you're meant to be stuck in one area. So I think they did it in Metroid Prime 2 as well, where you had multiple planets to go through, and your ship kind of just... was it multiple areas on the same planet? And you're kind of, like, still traveling one area. I would probably agree with the fact that if they thought they could get away with having open areas and stuff, they probably would have tried to shove that in. Because it feels like that they wanted to go for something more, but couldn't quite, because maybe they were hamstrung by the console itself, or maybe they had to put in certain elements and things. I don't know. I will say, though, the integration with the Wii Remote and stuff like that for Metroid Prime 3, absolutely brilliant. I mean, those controls are nailed down to a T. And for a game that was essentially running off a gimmick for a console, like, the gameplay is really well done. Like, I'd probably say to play was probably one of the smoothest Metroid games. I don't know, I got my Nintendo Switch and I've got the original Metroid Prime on there, so I probably will end up playing that. I haven't finished it either, which is an absolute nightmare, because I did get it and never finished it. Blasphemy, I know. But I got a long list of stuff I gotta go and play through. And I could pull out the old Wii as well, that'd be classic, and play through Metroid Prime 3 as well, and just do them all. Actually, I probably could end up streaming those if I do that, actually. That'd be a more interesting thing as well. Just do them as full playthroughs and stuff of games that I should complete again. The backlog's never ending. Yeah, I might do that. I'll have to get it all set up again. Like, I've got the card and everything else to do it. I just haven't really set it up. I was going to do some recording of, like, other games and stuff I had. What fusions do we have available? That'll work. Yeah, I might do. There's a bunch of games I wanted to play through anyway, like on my Xbox and stuff, and, like, actually complete those. And I'm also trying to complete Auction Not Included at some point. At least get, like, a run that works well. And I'm trying to figure out how to fix the problem that I've caused in my entire base. Like, I looked it up and got a strategy of thinking, like, okay, I can probably fix it like this. But, like, everywhere else I go, it's just like, I look at the advice and, like, but it's better that you start over. And I laugh, because if you watch the video of, like, of when that mistake happens, I even say I gotta be aware of the thing that's gonna cause it, because I know it's gonna happen and that's gonna cause it. And it still happens anyway. And it's one of the most annoying things. Like, mods and stuff fix it, I think, later if you install them. But obviously, I tend to play a lot of games without mods because I just kind of enjoy playing them as they're intended. But what the issue was is, if you haven't found a resource yet, it doesn't appear in any of the resource menus. And if you've only got one resource in a particular subsection of the menus, it will only show that one resource. But when you select the one resource, it selects everything in the submenu, because everything in the submenu is selected. But it means when the new resource becomes available, such in this case polluted water, it instantly allowed the polluted water to go into my normal water reservoir, which now has pretty much kind of doomed my colony. And I'm like, oh, I gotta try and fix this. And there are ways to fix it, but it's gonna take time and resources, which pretty much means that my game is already ruined, but hey-ho. And it's hilarious because I literally watched the video back and was like, man, I even called it out. I even called it out, and they still caused the same thing that I called out to do. But I guess that's a Melon special, to be honest. Did she name the thing that's going to cause problems and then watch it cause problems? But to be honest, part of me still wants to try and finish that anyway, because I think it's one, it's something that I've started, and two, it's also I think it's kind of nice to see how you kind of end up dealing with those situations. It's that point of where it's like, okay, so if I was playing the game and this happened to me, how do I solve it, kind of thing, right? And I think sometimes it's nice to watch people struggle and try and solve problems, even if like they're like stupid for doing it. At least I find it entertaining that, you know. Because I think what's always funny is like whenever I watch like YouTube tutorials or people play games, like they always tend to play them very, very, very well. And when they make mistakes, they're not really like massive mistakes or stuff like that. And I just love it when like a streamer or something comes across something and like, oh, okay, so I've mucked this up quite badly now. And then you watch them either just like instantly give up and reset, or you know, they try and solve it and end up failing. And I'm like, I want to see someone do that but succeed with fixing it. Because the accomplishment would be so great. But yeah, so I've got a save point for when I've noticed it, and I've tried a few runs to see if I get something where I kind of almost stabilize, but haven't had any luck yet. But I'm getting better, so I'm debating whether to put some of those like failed attempts up, or if I should just do it on the successful one and then kind of give the highlight reel of every time I failed. So that's what I mean. Like, I think that's always the fun. Is like, you know, is watching people come up with doing dumb stuff. I think a lot of my other content I do is I will always do something stupid that other people won't do, and I come up with like ridiculous combos or random stuff that people are like, I never knew that could do that. And then it's like, okay, then my brain instantly goes around to the idea of like, okay, so I know this does this, but how can I turn this into a weird thing, you know? I've done that with Spell Robe so many times, where I've just come up with random ideas. I do like that game quite a lot. I'm still trying to complete some of the other achievements on there and stuff at the moment, and I'm having a a difficult time with some of those. I think the big one I've got to do on there is a full I can make every character win on Descent 13, like the highest difficulty, one after the other. So like a full Monty, if you will. What else are we doing here? And that's been a diabolical run to try and do. Well, I will admit, I probably do quite a lot of stuff for some guy that literally just comes home and plays games for like a couple of hours every evening. If that. Yeah, there are sort of There's one thing that I've been messing around with in my free time at the moment, and I'm still trying to figure out how to get it all to work, is some random ideas for like games and stuff and like different mechanics and things, because I've always like trying to like nail stuff down. And I like coming up with random ideas and stuff, and seeing more of the things other people are doing and really helping with that idea. But yeah, it also is something that I'm doing just to kind of help my programming experience, more or less. But I used to do it quite a lot back when I was at university, which was I did some game reviewing for an online publication. I did enjoy doing it. It was more just like, write 500 words and we'll pay you a certain amount of money for, I think it was like 50 quid for the thing, and then refund you the cost of the game. Which wasn't that bad, I enjoyed it. But it did mean the fact that I used to break a lot of games because I used to play them for like quite a lot of time. And find all the faults, which meant that I couldn't quite get away from that critiquing eye ever again. I think it's something that, like, playing games in general, once you start finding faults with stuff, you start critiquing it, like, you start becoming a critic really quickly. And then once you start thinking like that, you can't get away from it. So it's just nice sometimes when I can sit there and just, like, enjoy a game without having to worry and can just kind of switch off. There we go. Another character done with this. Residents by houses gain more experience. Nice. Okay, now I think I got some more stuff I can build, so... Yes. The Warfare House. You can go there, so we'll do that. Rearrange. Everything has to be in order. And, oh, you're not going to do that. Let's just do that then. If we build it, we build it. If we don't, we don't. Actually, that's taking a lot to build. But yeah. I don't know, it's just... If you build it, they will come. Yes, they definitely will. Yes, they definitely will. Okay, so done that, so Snowfields again with this one. I'm just trying to think, like, at the moment, like, because, like, so I'm in that sort of, like, phase where I'm kind of, like, analysing stuff and thinking of things at the moment through anyway. I'm trying to think, like, because I try and, like, stay away from all the drama and everything else that everyone else seems to be having at the moment, and there always seems to be a lot of it on the internet. I don't really understand why, and politics seems to be something everyone's always interested in at the moment for some odd and unapparent reason, which I don't really understand either. Like, why is it all like a giant popularity contest? Like, why do I feel like everyone in the world has not grown up since, like, high school? No idea why, I just, like, you know... Like, it generally is, like... I think I remember my mum watching things like the Orange Housewives and stuff like that, and I look at that and I think to myself, like, these are people that... Man, that was a quick loss in that. These are people that have run their own companies and made a lot of money, and I know, like, some of it's scripted, but I was like, man, they sound like they're teenagers. Like, someone explain it to me. Am I mad? And then you got the same thing with, like, politics and everything else as well. I'm just like, it's just all a giant popularity contest. Yeah. I tend to not worry about it, but yeah. Well, I try not to anyway. It's one of the things that always used to frustrate me, because like I left one of my old jobs because it got to the point where I felt like I was the smartest guy in the room, and that was something that shouldn't really happen with the amount of people that had experience in there. And that was the thing that I was just like, I mean, admittedly, I was also doing the job with like 3 different people, but it was that point where it's like I was probably holding a lot of things up and standing and being like, well, if I leave, what are you guys going to do? And like, everything will still function, it just won't function as smoothly. But I was just like, yeah, I'm having no more of this. And it happened because the fact that essentially someone that knew what the job was to do saw that I was busy, but decided to leave it for me to do. And I was like, yeah, I've just had enough. And at that point then, I was just like, yeah, I've got no time for all the the randomness that ends up happening. It is also the thing that doesn't help that my family are very blunt about everything. Like, if there's something we don't agree with, we say it very quickly. That's caused some fights, I'll tell you. Yeah, so Frothy, what do you do for yourself at the moment then? Like, how do you keep yourself busy for money-wise and all that? You don't have to say if you don't want to. It's just more of just casual conversation. Like, do you do anything interesting, or is it just more just like the same like the rest of us? Oh, nice. Nah, man, it's setting up a long time to do that. 5 years, cool. I mean, the cool thing is the fact that you had the drive to sit there and go and do it. Like, I know how hard it is to kind of get something set up and kind of end up trying to take the drive to do it as well. Like, the thing is a lot of people tend to only really appreciate after you get all through that hard bit as well. They never see the sort of the pain and scraping by that you end up trying to get done to get all that off the ground. But custom furniture, nice. I said, well, if you do custom furniture, what's the coolest bit of furniture that you've done then? Like that one thing that you love to brag about, because it's definitely one of them. You know, it's probably that one piece that you never really wanted to sell, but you had to do it anyway because it was like a commission job or something. I mean, congrats on that, because, yeah. I feel sorry for fun. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, it kind of led you to where you are now, so... The main thing is, like, you probably learn a lot from, like, all sorts of different jobs that ended up kind of helping you alongside with that. I can only imagine, man. It's that point where you end up like putting like everything on the line for it, and you're so happy with it afterwards. You're like, oh, but I kind of want that in my living room now. Yeah, I myself am not the creative type. I'm more of the data guy, unfortunately. But you know, I do enjoy my music and things like that, and keep myself kind of artistic, even kind of this way as well. But now, that sounds really cool. Do you mainly work with the perfectionism? Yeah. Nothing wrong with that. It shows you have pride in your work, and you're also confident about the stuff you put out when you do it. I mean, definitely. I mean, do you mainly work with a lot of wood and stuff like that, or do you do sort of other materials as well? I mean, it's one of the things is like my granddad was a carpenter by trade, so he did a lot of stuff in regards to his hands and things. I mean, that man could work miracles with a piece of wood if he gave him the opportunity. Still can. Just his knees aren't the same as what they used to be. It's a bit of a shame, but I know when his knees went, I got him a whittling set for his birthday once, and I said he's never kept going that. Ah, fair enough. So yeah, kind of basically get the bases sort up and then all the third party in. It makes sense, especially when you're more comfortable doing wood anyway, as well. So I've known, I've seen a lot of so you always appear on my feed and stuff like that. Ah, cool. So the vanities as well in the cabinet. Yeah. Yeah, it was one of the things where like I know from my granddad, like it's one of the things, like he was very good with his hands and enjoyed a lot of stuff. At the same time as well, that man was a miracle worker when it came to anything with wood and any pub sport. I will admit that. He was no, I can understand. Like once you set up for one thing, you said the different tools and stuff you'll need to try and do the rest of it as well would be an absolute nightmare. And depending on staffing and everything else and training and that stuff can be an absolute nightmare if you've got people working with you and stuff. So I get it. The main thing is it's basically that you either do the one thing you do really, really well, or you diversify and then get some mediocrity in, which then, as you said, if you're a perfectionist, you're never going to be happy with the final product at that point because there's too many moving parts. So focus on the thing you do well and do it really well and offer a really good service. It's pretty much how you can kind of corner yourself in the market, which you clearly have done. Yeah. Yeah, my granddad does mean a lot for me. Nah, I completely agree. So you wouldn't want to, because like, at the end of the day, it's that thing that you gotta, like, you already take pride enough in your work and your skills. Like, you wouldn't want to disappoint anything else. And the thing is, it's like disappointing a customer is one thing, but when you disappoint yourself, that's another. And at that point, then you feel like you're letting everything down. Yeah, my granddad was like, I think he was the one that taught me table tennis as a kid, and it's one of the things that, like, I didn't realize how good he was at table tennis as a kid. So when he was teaching me, we used to play games and stuff. Like, I didn't realize it, but I got pretty good at the game. And I didn't know that. And I then came across a table tennis table when I was on holiday down in Spain. And obviously they were playing Winner Stays On. And I got on that table and I didn't get off. I was there for pretty much most of the day at that point, which was absolutely hilarious. And I came back, and obviously people were saying, "How are you so good at that?" And I was like, "I just play with my granddad every so often." And I came back and I asked him, like, I asked him, I was like, how good are you at table tennis? He's trying to say, he's like, oh, I should have been pretty good. I was county champion around when I was your age. He's just like, what? Like, this guy could have probably played professional table tennis back in his day, and I was like, hang on a minute, I don't believe this. And it was that moment where I was just like a massive awakening, and then like, and it was hilarious. It wasn't just like a single pub sport like table tennis. It was like pool, snooker, darts, all that sort of stuff. Like, he was just really good at it. And then obviously then, yeah, like, the guy just absolutely loved carving stuff out of wood and making stuff. Like, same for yourself, like, you know, cabinets, tables, doors. Maybe did a lot of doors at one point, a lot of door designs, and then, yeah. I said he still has got his shed with all of his stuff in it, unfortunately, which he still likes looking at, but I say you give that man a knife and a block of wood and watch him carve away, it's always a mesmerizing thing when he makes them afterwards. I think to yourself, like, man, I wish I was good with my hands. But it's weird, right? Because one of the things I always find unusual is the fact that as much as like machines and stuff are taking over, I think a lot of people still appreciate handcrafted works quite well. And I kind of relating this back to like AI implementation they're doing a lot over a lot of companies nowadays, where it's like, yeah, AI can do a lot of stuff like the same machines could for us back all those times, but there are some things I think humans would still be able to do, and I would say it's that kind of feeling of a soul behind something, you know? Like, you can look at the same table made by two different people and they will feel different. And I think it's really hard to explain in some cases, but like, you probably can pinpoint stuff like that straight away just by looking at them because you've gone through it. Oh, the Gen AI, yeah. Oh, it's a problem to itself, it is. It's a problem to itself. Oh, we've done it with that one. Let's go with this one. My issue with the AI stuff is more the fact that just like, how should I say? It's a market where people have basically gone all in on, and I don't think they've really understood the risks of doing so. And I think that's the problem. It's a nightmare in itself, and I know it takes a lot of content away from people and stuff. But I think it can be a good tool. It's the same thing we always do. Is we push stuff out before it's too good, like before it's good enough, and then it just blows up in our face, literally. Yeah, I mean, it reminds me of a lot of other things with the AI stuff. Like, think how many people got suckered into the crypto markets and stuff like that when that was a big thing. And like, it's almost like the flavor of the month. The issue with it is like a lot of companies are throwing money at it, and it is all marketing. It's all buzzwords. It's the whole sales rep spiel that are promising the world, but like, then you're actually looking at the programmers and stuff that set this up behind the scenes are going, it's nowhere near ready. Like I have no idea what they told you, but the thing is, it's like, for app development and stuff like that, being part of some projects and things, like, the salesmen do the exact same thing there. They blatantly lie to customers and say that stuff can do all sorts of things, and then you wonder why features get added to software randomly. It's because the salesman promised it to a different buyer that they could do that thing, and that's it. It's an absolute nightmare. It's like for you, if someone turned around and said that a table could fly, and then you got to somehow try and make it fly. But the problem is, I think at the moment a lot of companies are going into that sort of thing. I've noticed Nvidia are dropping their GPU production to try and help with it. There's another company that's responsible for 20% of the RAM market, I believe, that's doing the same thing and not selling commercial anymore. Which I think is creating this sort of artificial inflation in the market for stuff like that. And the thing is, like, the issue is I think some people are going to be so invested in it that they can't really, like, get away from it, which is going to be a problem in itself. You know, it's that point where you've already lost a lot of money on the table, so now you got to kind of stick with it or else. You know, accept that you've lost. But yeah, I don't really understand. The thing is, like, we all can see it, and an interesting discussion came up with me and some workmates and stuff, was on the idea of sort of like, how good could AI end up getting, right? Like, could it get to the point where it absolutely fool you? And I kind of related it back to something which we all know and love, because we kind of, there's a reason why we never trust the weatherman, which is a chaos theory, which is kind of interesting, and it kind of relies on the iterations of a system. So I think there's a big push at the moment in vibe coding, which is just I tell someone to do it and they do it essentially, but in this case it's the AI. But the thing is like, the larger the thing is that the thing has got to do, the worse it gets, and to the point where the thing that you've requested it to do doesn't actually function as the thing you want it to. I think a lot of people have proved that by like asking an AI, a generative AI, to generate the exact same picture, and then do it on like 200 repetitions until the picture becomes unrecognizable from the original image. It's a game of Chinese whispers, essentially. Or can I say that now? I don't know. You know, gotta be all very PC. What happens to the world, man? Always the way, always the way. But yeah, so... But, like, I'm on the boat that I think that there's no way on earth that, yeah, so, essentially, what ends up happening is if I have a calculation with a margin of error of, like 0.2%, and the thing with that is then, say, like, predicting the weather, I rely... Think of it like a game of telephone. Yeah, kind of. It's the exact same thing. The more that you kind of like process through the same calculation, you use the new data you get from that calculation and input it back into the calculation, you increase the margin of error. And essentially, the error becomes so large that you can't really say the outcome is predictable anymore, which is what ends up causing the problems. So it just becomes an absolute nightmare, and the same thing happens with AI consistently, because essentially at a certain point the majority of information on the internet will be AI generated, which will have that margin of error, which will mean that it will generate even bigger margin of error, and this keeps compounding until you have like a massive threshold. So doesn't mean that it can't get better, but it just, in my opinion, I just don't see it ever really getting past that issue. And as human beings, we have an innate bias about a lot of stuff, whether it be our upbringing, whether it be the information we have available and stuff like that. So we're going to cause all these errors to happen anyway, without really trying, because we're the ones that make the AI do the thing, and we also have this issue within our own kind of like structure as well. So, like, I think the conversation went down is like, if someone could produce an AI that would basically make an image that was 100% recognizable, I would still think there's at least one person in the population that could tell it be AI generated. Because I would think there was something, it's something that a human would do that the AI wouldn't. And even if the AI learned to compensate for that, there would then be something else that would do the exact same thing. And it would just keep going like an infinite cycle. There would always be that one thing that it couldn't grasp. And I would kind of put it down to like the soul of the art, or this kind of like that human touch, if you will. You know? And like people that are sort of like very big computer nerds look at me and I think like, oh no, that's impossible. Eventually we'll like get rid of that and stuff like that. And I'm like, yeah, but like we can get machines to a lot of stuff that we still do by hand even nowadays, right? You know? Like, there are people out there that will still get their piano tuned by an actual piano tuner rather than a machine. So some guy comes and does it with his tech or even by ear. Yeah, and it's one of those things that I think, like, you know, like self-driving cars are a good example of, like, technology being implemented too early and then having the issues with it. And they're still trying to push it now, but no one's ever going to trust the vehicle when they're not driving it. Like, planes can do everything themselves, but no one would get on a plane without a pilot. So the pilot's just kind of just, in not all cases, but it's just there because people trust him more than the machine. It's that point where the human being becomes a fail-safe in the system, right? Rather than the actual part of it. But yeah, and I appreciate that. It's just something where I just feel like, you know, like I'm a person of logic, and I like to think things through. And even when I think through logically, like I still come up with the same answer. It's the fact that there's always something that you can't explain, and there's no point in trying to, because if you try to, you're missing the point. And I always laugh because, like, human instinct is one of the most coolest things we have. It's an ability that nothing ever else will have, and it's not something you can replicate or figure out. I learned that from like studying a bunch of textbooks. Like, my favorite analysis of like human interaction is any human being will essentially do what is a sort of a sense check on anyone that comes within about 12 feet of them minimum. So if they enter that space in them, regardless if you know it or not, you will assess them as a threat and react accordingly on an instinctual level. So you'll look at someone and either like they will scare you for a particular reason or something else, and this is normally related to something in the industry, something within the scientific community called mirror neurons, which is like the reason why we have empathy. It's really interesting stuff, and I kind of like find it absolutely fascinating that our brains do all these calculations and stuff on such a like a massive level without you even realizing that we're doing the calculations. And what's hilarious is like some of this is like from like learned behavior or is instinctual. Which is yeah, it's like one of my favorite things to do. It's oh, what's the meme? Oh, who does it? The thing that goes, is it the Invincible meme? I don't know, where they sit there and like look what they need to do to mimic a fraction of our power, and I've just got like this picture of a man throwing a ball. And then like a machine trying to do the same thing. You know, and then just watching like the giant server that's behind the machine while trying to do the calculations to throw a ball like at different places and different styles and everything else as well. Like, it's just hilarious. Oh, cool, we unlocked a new area. Nice. Oh, like, generally that's what it is. And the other thing that I always found out, which is especially with, like, how, I think they saw the... Was it the Elon Musk robot stuff and stuff like that? Like, how that has its own drama, but I don't really care about that. Like, why are we making machines that have to look like humans? Like, the one cool thing about machines is we can make them look like and act like and be anything we want, yet we still try and make them look human. Like, give them humanoid shapes and everything else as well. Like, I'm super confused. Like, why? That just seems redundant. You know? Like, we all want R2-D2s. You know, I want the ability for him just to slot into my car and allow me to and then drive me somewhere as an autopilot. Oh, BBA, yeah. But it's just this weird thing, and like I kind of relate this to how early cars were designed. If you look back at like the first car concepts and like traveling on a road, well, not even a road because they weren't invented back then, but you look at the concepts of what they were trying to build, all of them look very much like trains. Every single one of them. And yes, like, cars technically in some ways still resemble that sort of early design, but it's weird they were so focused on that until Henry Ford really came through and decided to make his own way. But, you know, like, the basis of them was still fixated around that idea, and we're doing the same thing again, where we're holding ourselves up with, like, machines and that sort of stuff in general because we're still focused on the aspect of wanting them to look like they're human. Ooh, gold. Okay, we have gold mines. Completely agree. Yes, society would be better if more things looked like trains. The problem is you could never get away from the Thomas the Tank Engine mods then at that point. I still stand by, I think one of my favourite things that someone ever said was the fact that regardless of how far technology's come, it's all still steampunk. No worries, man, you take care. Been appreciated to see you as well. You take care of yourself. See you next one. You know what? I probably should call it there as well, to be honest. Alright, man. Take care. I'm trying to sort this puzzle out first. There. I should get everything built. Okay. Yeah, I have a good time. Appreciate Frothy, being very nice to talk to you as well. I'm going to leave it there. I got other stuff I've got to do this afternoon. So again, anyone who's catch this video afterwards, much appreciated. Nice to see you all. And again, if you do enjoy these videos, leave a like, subscribe to see more, and I'll see you all in the next one. Take care.